Hello, both sides of the conversation family. We welcome you to this virtual space crafted especially for you. My name is Jada Curry, and I'm both sides of the conversation's marketing director and graphics design specialist. I want to take some time to ground us all as a community into this space we are about to open up in, so let's go through our community standards. Both sides of the conversation is providing a safe and honest space for open conversation, so we ask that you all be respectful of that. We also ask that you be respectful of each panelist, host, and participant. We do encourage healthy debates and conversations. Don't personalize anything with anyone. This includes name-calling, bullying, trolling, or shaming. This will not be allowed or tolerated. Your perspective is yours. It is not a prescription. You do not have to agree, but show respect. These community standards apply to all of our live shows and any virtual spaces that we hold on social media, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We want to make sure that we are caring for each other as a community. This is our priority in all of our endeavors as both sides of the conversation. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's show and continue to stay in touch with us via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or all of them. All right, thank you for listening and see you soon.
What's up, everybody? I'm John Henry, both sides of the conversation, executive director. Today is Sunday, so you know what that means. We're going to have another Sunday conversation. Today is our youth conversation. We have our youth in here, engaging with them to talk about topics that they come together and think that's important to them, and also for community. So I hope you all are excited for today's show. With that being said, if this is your first time tuning in, or maybe you just heard from somebody to tap in with BSOTC, make sure you check us out. We'll be on all social media handles at both sides of the conversation. Go to our YouTube, subscribe. You can watch today's show. Also, you can leave comments and interact with our youth, interact with the conversation today. Go to our Facebook Live, and check out what's going on. You can leave comments and information there. I am excited because, again, it's the start of the week. We got good things coming, but it hasn't been so great with the weather outside. It is pouring down rain. Shout out to all of the folks that's out in the cold and the rain at the Black Joy Parade today. I saw a lot of amazing folks, but I was like, this is too much for me today. I've been out all night. I've been running around. I ain't standing in the rain today. So sorry, folks. I didn't have my poncho with me, but my team is out there, and I had to get back and hold it down. We got our co-hosts out of town. Everybody's flying around getting things done. So I am here today. We got our other co-host, Jocelyn, here. Jocelyn, what's up, Queen?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on with you? I'm back.
Hey, another week, another conversation.
Yes.
It's always great to be back in space. So, we'll get ready to turn it on and bring it up to our youth. But with that being said, just want to say real quick to community that's watching, it has been a lit Black History Month, okay? I don't know about y'all. I don't know if it was the pandemic and everybody's been in the house, but this Black History Month has been tremendous. The amount of events and galas and things that's going on has just been amazing to honor our ancestors. But not only that, just to honor and support and uplift each other. It's been great moving around the Bay Area, just seeing all of the events. And we've been trying to do our part to support all of it. There's been block parties. There's been art events. There's been cultural events. I mean, there's so much stuff going on. It's just a blessing to see. So I'm just happy, one, to just say, community, let's keep pushing. Let's not just stop on this Black History Month. Let's continue to unite as one, continue to work together, and again, uplift the community, especially here in San Francisco. The Dream Keeper Initiative has been having major, major impact for our community over these last couple of months when it comes to Black history and just planning out what's going on. It's been great, and just great to see everybody engage. Also, before we get going, want to give a condolences to my buddy Red. His daughter was killed in a tragic car accident over the weekend. Also, I got news today. One of the three people who were killed in Oakland, I know, and it's just like it's very terrible what's going on in our community. When we talk about community gun violence, and some of the things that's taking place in our community, we have to keep the conversation going. There has been a number of shootings over the weekend, a number of young people, and the sad part of it all is when we start having young females being shot and killed. It's terrible. In our community, we got some work to do. But again, we're going to continue to pray and uplift those families. My condolences to all of the families who've been impacted by violence over this past year and up to the present. Again, we have a lot of work to do in our community. We cannot forget the importance of standing in solidarity when it comes to gun violence and making sure that our people in our community get access to mental health as well as services and resources so that we can help curb the violence. So tragic stuff that we have to go and present to community. But it's been a wild weekend here in the Bay Area. And again, we got a lot of work to do. So just want to keep those families uplifted in prayer. And, we just got to keep marching through with all of this. Also, community, there's a cold front that is coming into the community. I don't know if y'all seen, there's been snow at the 1,000 feet level. We've been having snow all across the Bay Area. All of the mountaintops are getting snow and the weather is cold. So community, please do your part. Make sure you keep your pets in. Also, make sure you check on your loved one. There's been a lot of downed trees, a lot of rainfall. There's been a lot of car accidents on the freeways this weekend. So community, slow down a little bit, okay? It's raining outside. The grounds are wet. Be safe out there. You don't want to be in one of those tragic accidents. Also, just check on your loved one or elders in the community. I know PG&E this week has been tough for a lot of residents throughout the Bay Area. I think over 192,000 people were affected by power outages and things of that nature. So check on your loved one. If you have elders and different folks in the community, make sure you check on them and make sure that they okay. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and bring up our amazing youth team so that they could go ahead and get to our world news, community announcements, and then we'll get into today's conversation, which I think is a very, very important conversation that we need to talk about. So with that being said, we're going to bring up our youth team so that they could go ahead and present today. Youth team, how y'all doing today?
Hi, everyone.
What's going on?
Doing good.
All right. Let's go. Y'all take over.
Let's start off with the world news. So, with Trump running, nearly all Republican senators say no to a presidential bid. There's an old joke that senators look in the mirror and see a president. These days, a whole lot of mirrors are in the chamber seem to be broken. Republicans have an open presidential primary in 2024, and the Senate is packed with hyper-ambitious and self-confident politicians, many with national followings and barely concealed presidential aspirations. Yet, nearly all of them are taking a pass at a White House bid next year after former President Donald Trump launched his attempted comeback campaign in November. More locally, and in Oakland, there have been multiple sideshows overnight. A big rig was involved on this last one. Multiple sideshows took place overnight in Oakland, and a big rig was involved in one of them. The first sideshow occurred around 1:30 a.m. at Hagenberger Road on Coliseum Way. Vehicles were seen doing donuts all across lanes as crowds of people watched. The second sideshow occurred on northbound Interstate 880 and 66th Avenue at 1:45 a.m. There were multiple reports of a sideshow activity on the freeway. The third sideshow occurred at Maritime and Grand Avenues at around 2:30 a.m. The video shows a semi-truck participating in the sideshow by driving around in circles. The crowd then hopped on the back of the truck's trailer. I actually did see that online as well. Losing their religion. Why churches are on the deadline. Churches are closing at rapid numbers in the U.S., researchers say, as congregations dwindle across the country and a younger generation of Americans abandon Christianity altogether, even as faith continues to dominate American politics. As the U.S. adjusts to an increasingly non-religious population, thousands of churches are closing each year in the country, a figure that experts believe may have accelerated since the COVID-19 pandemic. The situation means some hard decisions for pastors and who have to decide when a dwindling congregation is no longer sustainable. But that's also created a boom market for those wanting to buy churches with former houses of worship and now finding new life. Lastly, in San Francisco, the number one U.S. city for runners study, there was a study saying that whether you're training for a marathon or just getting your miles in, San Francisco is the ideal place to put on the running shoes and get moving. San Francisco was the best U.S. city for runners in 2023, according to a study by tech company ARRIS. The study cited San Francisco's good air quality and access to parks and low pedestrian fatality. To be ranked number one, the city earned an overall score of 83 out of 100, ahead of second place, which was Boston at 75. And the study took into account four main factors: pedestrian fatality rate per 100K, average air quality index, percent of residents living within a 10-minute walk of a park, and annual average rainfall in inches. And with that, I will lead it to my team, and let's get into the community events.
Hi everyone, I am Nia and I will be speaking on the upcoming events. So first we have Celebrate Black History Month with Mo AD, Sensational Series, and Don't Miss events on the month of February. Registration and more info will be on the screen. Next we have Experience History Different, Black History Musical Herbs Theater SF. On February 27th, there is a show at 9:30 a.m., 1 p.m., and 7 p.m. For free tickets, the link will be on the screen. Next, we have First Unitarian Universalist Society of SF, scholarship year 23 and 24, ranging from $1,500 to $2,500. The deadline is on March 1st. Next, we have Reparations Education Subcommittee meeting on March 1st at 5:30 p.m. It is virtual. The link will be on the screen. Next, we have HRC is working with USF students. Listening sessions reparations plan. March 2nd from Hall 125. Marashi Room. April 7th, McLaurin Complex 250. April 20th, McLaurin Complex 250. To RSVP, it is on eventbrite.com. Youth Writers Workshop, War Memorial Veterans Building at 401 Van Ness Avenue at McAllister Street, room 302. March 2nd and 3rd, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Register on Eventbrite. Breakthrough Summer Bridge 2022 to 2023 admissions now open. Academic enrichment to middle school students, apps due March 3rd. Info and more is on summerbridgesf.org. Bayview Senior Services presents Black Cuisine Family Reunion on March 3rd. Friday, pre-order online at blackcuisine.square.site. For more information, you can call the number on the screen. Scrap 2023 workshops are live. Hanging sculptures with Z Maps Dawn. March 4th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. There's more info on Eventbrite. Bayview Senior Services presents the 43rd Black Cuisine Family Reunion. George W. Davis Senior Center on March 4th. Tickets are $35. Food and entertainment will be there. It is at 1753 Carroll Avenue in San Francisco. For more information, you can call the number on the screen. Reparations Economic Empowerment Subcommittee meeting is on March 6th. At 5:30 p.m. It is virtual, and the link will be on the screen. Reparations Policy Subcommittee, another one, is on March 10th at 5:30 p.m. It is virtual, and the link will be on the screen. Let Your Voice Be Heard, DKI presented by Sub Shaman Walton, March 14th. Rally on the Steps at 12 p.m. Board of Sub meeting is at 3 p.m. SF City Hall, room 250. Rise Prep Annual 5K Family Fun Run/Walk event, Candlestick Point Park, March 18th. Support for Families, a free conference for families of children with disabilities on March 18th. It is at John O'Connell High School. It is a virtual option available as well. Girls Who Codes Free SF Summer Program, 2 free programs. The deadline is March 24th. There is more info on the link on the screen. Crochet Outside the Lines with Amy Lang. It is on April 1st from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. There is more information on eventbrite.com. Black Men in White Coats Youth Summit. It is on April 1st from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Merritt College, 12500 Campus Drive in Oakland. Registration is open on Eventbrite. Hope SF is accepting academic scholarship apps. Students who live in Alice Griffith, Potrero Terrace Annex, Hunters View, or Sunnydale. The deadline is April 14th. You can apply on the link on the screen. Griffley Summer Art and Activism Program. Program is for SF-based teen girls and GNC youth ages 14 through 19. The app is due May 1st. Angela Davis Seize the Time exhibit. exhibition on view now through June 11th. And there you can buy tickets from the link on the screen. And I will pass it to Sanaya for the ongoing events.
Okay, so the events that are currently ongoing is Exploratorium and Be Magic. You can visit the Exploratorium for free at Pier 15. You have to contact the email on the screen and mention Be Magic Community Family Pass. It's a first come, first served basis. There is also a new roller rink operated by the church on 8 wheels, outdoor plaza between Asian Art Museum and the main library. It goes from Wednesday through Sunday from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Youth under 18 years old is $5 and 18 years and up for $15. And next is SF Home Owners in the Bayview, Ami and Western Additions area. Mayor Breed's Dreamkeepers Initiative 100% forgivable loan for home repairs. So details, you can call the number on the screen or email the email on the screen. Habitat for Humanity expanded their service area to all eligible households to zip codes 94112, 94124, 94134. They're accepting home repair application info at this number or at the email on the screen. Next, iFoster wants to know about their phone program for California foster youth ages 13 to 26 years old. The email and the phone number on the screen. And next, Dragon's Punk Roll Roots has fresh produce farmers market. Saturdays at 12:30 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. at 1820 Palouse Street, and you can enter at the gate at Oakdale. Next is Magic Zone still has open enrollment for cohorts at third and fifth in middle school, academic support, enrichment, and sports activities. The applications link is on the screen. And next, Tools of the Trade, Shakespeare to Change, workshop of verse, lyricism, and more. Mondays, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. It goes through March 6th through May 19th. It's at the Bayview Opera House, which is at 4705 3rd Street. Next is Dev Mission Computer Lab has a new STEM hub. All K through 12 students are free. Now until June 2nd. It goes from Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. You can contact Patricia Nolan at this email or that number. Next is the Strutters Room free dance workshops at the Bayview Opera House, which is 4705 3rd Street. It goes from Wednesdays to 5:30 to 7:30, now throughout June 18th. Next is learn how to launch or grow your own business. Business support services for small business entrepreneurs. Email bayview@rentcenter.org. Next is youth workshops, job referrals, resume building, skill building, and professional networking. For the scheduled appointment, the email is on the screen. Next is Ubuntu Leadership Institute Spring 2023 Common Read. Support the mission of Brotherhood of Elders Network and the Ubuntu Leadership Institute. More information is on the screen with the email. Next is 3rd Street Youth Center and Clinic College Jump Program. It's a program offering college readiness and process ages for 12 to 24-year-olds. College Counts program, apply now, and there's the link. Next is Peace Park presents Friday Night Fun every Friday at 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Hamilton Rec Center, 1600 Geary Boulevard at San Francisco. Next is Lovely Ladies University open enrollment. It goes from ages 10 to 17. Occurs Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 4:30 p.m. through 7:30 p.m. at 1275 Fairfax Avenue, San Francisco. And for membership inquiries, you can see the link on the screen. And Saturday is Family Fun Day, field trips, sporting events, and much more, every second and fourth Saturday. For more information, email the email on the screen. And lastly, both sides of the conversation capacity building fundraiser. Visit our GoFundMe page and make a donation today at the link on the screen. And I'll pass it off for the oncoming jobs.
Hello, I'm Brandy, and I'll be reading the job opportunities open. Alameda County is offering IT and web development apprenticeship. Spring cohort begins April 1st, and they're looking for ages 16 through 24. Hunters Point Family has 24 and up job opportunities. Apply now. For job descriptions, look at the link below and submit resumes at the email below. Children's Council of San Francisco Black FFN Springs Institute is accepting as exempt caregiver apps. Apply at the link below. Black Economic Equity Movement, BEEM, has an exciting guaranteed income opportunity for Black young adults. Applications will be accepted through mid-March. For more info, look at the link posted below. Interested in construction? Receive industry-approved training and OSHA certification February 21st through February 24th at 1301 Evans Avenue in San Francisco. Sign up at the email below. California PPH Pathways applications are now live. The California Public Health Pathways is now recruiting applicants. Entry-level job training. For more info, look at the email below. APRI job readiness training is $400 after completing the training. February 27th through March 1st, Monday through Wednesday at 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. March 2nd and 3rd, Thursday and Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Contact APRI Eva Hopkins at the number below. SFPUC Youth Job Training Program for youth 14 through 21 and transitional ages 16 through 24. Bayview Hill Gardens, rooms 1075 at Loconte Avenue. Apply March 2023, Tuesday and Thursday 4 through 6 p.m. Contact the email below. 6-month workforce program in San Francisco is paid jobs for ages 17 through 24. The deadline is on March 13th. And Saxelby Legacy Fund apprenticeship applications will be paid summer internship. Deadline is March 15th, and more info is at the email below. Office of Mayor London Breed Bridge to Excellence Scholarship, high school seniors to receive awards up to $5,000. The deadline will be March 17th at 5:30 p.m. For more info, look at the link below. UCSF's Science and Health Education Partnership is a cellular construction workshop. Paid STEM opportunities. The deadline is March 19th, and for more info, look at the link below. City and County of San Francisco has an upcoming career event, a career resource fair, April 15th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Civic Center Plaza at 355 McAllister Street in San Francisco. Register at the link below. MOAD Teen Programs. Bay Area students grades 10th, 11th, and 12th join a 5-week art making summer program. Application deadline is April 17th. Apply at the link below. The Black is hiring sales associate and assistant manager at the link below. Children's Council in San Francisco is looking to hire 2 health and nutrition specialists. For more info and to apply, look at ZipRecruiter and Glassdoor. Join our youth team. San Francisco youth volunteers are needed. There's paid stipend. You can be either a high school or college honor roll student. Join with us. Email hr@bsotc.org. BSOTC is in search of volunteers. Our work is inspiring and it feels good. We make a difference in the community with tangible results to show it. We are a highly driven group with a high impact. We get the right things done the right way. Not only will you contribute to the community, but you'll also learn a lot and gain knowledge in your field of interest within the organization. We value your ideas and input. Sign up to be a volunteer today. You can make a difference. Go to all of our social media sites for more news on how to give back to your community and support BSOTC.
All right. Thank y'all, Brother Devin and Nia co-hosting today. Today, community, our conversations, the art, the methods of social change. Is it working? When we talk about looting, protests, how do we hold our people accountable? The young people are here to talk. We're going to hear from the young people. We'll engage with them. But we know some of the methods and things that we used to do in the past, it just doesn't work. So how do we get people to change? How do we get people to change? How do we get people to move? The current strategies that we've used from the civil rights movement to today. Is it effective? Does it work for young people? Today, we're going to find out. There's a number of questions that will be asked, but we'll pass it over to Devin and Nia as we'll kick off today's questions. And community, support the young people, engage with the young people, elders who've been marching since 1939. Okay, let's see if it's still working. Let's see what the young people say. Devin, go ahead. You and Nia take over.
So y'all know I like to start off with a good foundational question, like what is social change and why should we care about it today? I'll start off by answering that. I believe, the book definition is social change refers to a change in the way society is organized and in the beliefs of practices of people who live in it. So as we know, we can have social change between just our community, our Bay Area community, or the Black community, or whatever other community there is. Social change is important, and I believe that we should care about it because it advances the quality of life that we live in. So I just think it's important, and I want to start off with a foundational question and ask the rest of y'all, what does it mean to you personally?
To me, I feel like social change is more. Oh, hi everybody. This is Kendall. But I feel like social change is more when you're doing what you can to change what's around you. In your community, it could be the community, it could be the world, it could be your job. If you see a need that needs to be met, and you see something that you feel like needs to be changed. I mean, in this case, we're talking more about most of the time when people are looting or rioting or protesting, it's more towards like police brutality or something of that source or such. So in this case, social change is more changing the things that affect us. But I think that social change could just be changing what's around you.
100% agreed. So what aspects of our society, because we know from back in the day, from Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, that our society has definitely changed from back then. So what aspects do you think of our society have changed, and for the better or for the worse? And yeah, let's answer that one first.
I think one aspect of our society that has changed is people are demanding more workers' rights. I feel like it was like before we started protesting for uh, different work days, like work hours. After the pandemic happened, people started to realize that they can do their jobs from home and that they don't have to work as often and for as long hours as they had been previously. So I feel like that's, and people are protesting. I've heard all sorts of protests. Like there's protests at Kaiser and the therapist, and protests like Starbucks to try to get a union. I think that's one aspect of our society that is currently changing.
Now, yeah, that's definitely important. You brought up a good point because after the pandemic, it was a lot of people who realized their job can be done during their job can be done hybrid, or they can work from home. They don't have to go in the office from 9 to 5 every day and sit there, and they have more autonomy over their lives. And another point that I want to bring up was how progressively California's workers' rights are compared to like the other states, because here in Louisiana, that's where I currently go to college, is you can work 12 hours. They don't have to give you a break. Like you can work 10 to 12 hours. They don't have to give you no break, no lunch. It's kind of all on the employer itself. So I think our community in California, we've done a great job working towards that social change of giving workers, rights, and not just, treat them like a slave, because I think that's still, it's out of pocket. I'll say it like that.
Yeah, to piggyback on that, I'm literally at work right now, and y'all don't understand. I be having to beg for these breaks during these doubles, and even like small things. We were talking about workers' comp and wrongful termination in states like Louisiana. There aren't really wrongful termination laws. Where this is an at will state, so basically you can work if you want to work. If they want to fire you at will, they can do that. If you want to work, like if you want to work, then you can do that. But there are no there aren't really clear wrongful termination laws. But in somewhere like California, we're very progressive. We want our the people living in California to live a good life. We don't want people to be treated inhumanely, and it's very clear how it's different in other areas, and you don't really see that, and you don't see how honestly how blessed we are until you go to different areas and see that it's not like that everywhere. When they told me at first that I don't get a break, it was crazy to me. Honestly, I looked at them stupid. I promise I did, but that's how it is.
Kendall, did you say yes, master? Please don't tell me.
How about I work for black people? I was like, you finna tell me I don't get no break at all with this whole 12-hour shift for real? It's fine. It's
No,
okay.
I think that perspective that you gave, Kendall, is definitely something that's very important because a lot of young people and a lot of people from California that go out to other states, they don't appreciate the value of what this progressive movement is here and the rights. And a lot of people they get out of state and they figure out like, wow, we got a lot of opportunities. Even if you lose a job, you lose your housing. There's a lot of opportunities for support. So a lot of folks when they come here, they like, oh, it's expensive, it costs a lot of money, but the social change and the advancement of laws and protections for human beings is pretty powerful. And that's a good point to break out. But I was gonna say I know about those those working policies down there. I got some folks in Arkansas, some folks in Louisiana, and boy, they be telling me how horrendous it is. I'm like, y'all don't get no break. Y'all ain't got no union. Ain't no unions down here. But yeah, it's a blessing to have that. So that's a great point to bring up.
Another aspect I wanted to bring up though for California is our immigration laws, because we do have a good community of immigrants here. And I'm not too, I don't want to say the wrong thing, so I'm not too informational or knowledgeable on immigration laws, but I know that they probably are a little better here in California versus other places. But another point I wanted to bring up too was the minimum wage, especially in California. Our social change initiatives on that are working because it's $15 an hour, which is, I mean, that's not necessarily livable, but it's better than $7.25 in Louisiana. So
Is they at 7.25 down there?
or $7.50 now. It's New Year. My bad.
And then if you're a server and you get tips, you get paid $2.50 an hour.
So it's just crazy to think about, and especially San Francisco. San Francisco is doing a great job because I'm not sure what the minimum wage is at the moment, but I know it's like $17, $18 an hour, and that's beneficial, and that shows how when you protest or when you actively speak out on something that you want to change, those things can happen.
That minimum wage humbled me fast. I was making more as a freshman in high school than I'm making out here. So
I have a quick question for y'all. Devin had brought up Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr., but they were kind of two completely different entities as far as it's the same type of movement, but at the same time they had different thought processes. So what do you guys think about let's say peaceful protests versus burn everything down type of protests? I think I'm asking more. Do you guys have a specific stance on either one, or what do you guys think about it?
I feel like they both work in their own ways depending on the situation. Like as far as a peaceful protest, I mean, it can work, but I feel like sometimes they don't really hear you. They start listening when you start burning stuff down.
My opinion on it is that I like peaceful protests, but I also think I'm like Nia. I also think that like burning stuff down and stuff and like creating a ruckus is sometimes needed. But I think sometimes people who go to protest are like they have the wrong mindset when they start burning stuff down and they end up harming the community more than actually helping.
I agree with that. I agree with what you guys both said. They both have their own different aspects, but I really want to get into it because during the Black Lives Matter protests, when everything was getting burned down, and and we took that more aggressive approach to social change. Why were we burning down and looting the Black communities? Like that's kind of backwards to me. You know, why if we're gonna protest and show people what we're trying to do the aggressive way, why would you go and rob the black business on the corner store? Like why would you do that? It just doesn't. It's kind of backwards. It's kind of like defeating the purpose to me. So I think that they have their pros and their cons, but I think if we're gonna burn stuff down to get the attention that we want, we should do. Not saying we should do corporations like Target and things like that, but to bring up an example, during the Black Lives Matter movement, when it was heavy in our society, Target was like, you know, what after they got their stores looted and burned down, they gave an announcement and they said we would be nothing without the Black community. So I feel like it's when you go towards the right audience, then those measures are effective.
I agree with what you said, but then you also have to think about some people are doing it for the wrong reasons. They don't care about, Black Lives Matters protesting. They go in there to get free stuff, things of that nature. But I feel like if you're doing it for the right reason, then your voice is actually heard more.
Now, what do y'all say to the people out there that's probably saying it's never the right reason to burn down stores and loot, right? But I think, one of the things when we talk about Black Lives Matters and kind of what took place in George Floyd is there was a predominantly large amount of folks who was just intentionally coming there to do that. That really wasn't part of the movement. And I think that sometimes get overlooked. And then Black folks take the hit for that. And it's like a lot of times it wasn't the Black people doing it. It was just other people coming in the community to cause ruckus and to cause, these melees in the community. But it also it's deproductive as well, because, one of the things when you have those type of protests where people are burning down, looting stores, what ends up happening is the policy shift change. So then it makes it harder for organizers to organize, to really mobilize, to do things. So it can set you both ways, but sometimes, I think Nia hit it on the point. Like sometimes you just got to do what you got to do as a community to get the masses looking. But I mean, I'm really thinking about, the intentional way of how do we break off of the system as a whole, right? And one of the ways I wanted to talk to y'all about is what do y'all think? Because protesting sometimes gets stuff done. I mean, look at all of the protests that took across this country for George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and Congress still couldn't pass a bill, right? So my real question is, those old ways of marching and standing in solidarity, sometimes it doesn't work. How do you all view what we need to do moving forward and holding folks accountable, especially our elected officials, especially community leaders and different things of that nature? But I think one of the things that we need to do to really create this new change that you all are talking about is we have to do the boycotts. We have to hold our cash, right? There's power in money. And I think as many more people across this country, when we're talking about social change and how to impact this company, is how do we hold our dollars, right? And then that becomes a challenge because you all know Black and brown businesses, there's not a lot of them, right? See, it would be nice if we could hold our money and not go to Target, not go to Starbucks, not pump gas, right? But we don't have that willpower because we're so driven off the system. So how do we create that? Because I think money changes everything. I think if you hit people in their pockets hard enough, I think people will be open to change because people are used to their lifestyles. And I think we have more power within the people than we really understand. And that was one of the things that Dr. King was very strategic about when they did the bus boycotts. See, he understand the economical impact will create change. That's why they didn't like him, because now it's like, if we could shut the buses down, what do you think we could do with the grocery stores, the schools, right? Because there's money coming in. So I think, some of the ways we've done things just need to be reinvented in a sense, or implemented in a different way that can really impact the country. And we could do it state by state. But again, I think the money is the biggest thing. And that's the biggest question, is how do we hold our resources? Because when you hold your resources, that's the power. The dollar is the power. So how do we get our youth? How do we get the people in the community to hold their dollars? Because burning down stuff, yeah, you make an instant impact. right? It costs money, but you really don't get the change, right? You get more of a resistance. But if you hold the money and those stores are open and they got to pay employees and the lights is on, nobody's buying food, I think that's a greater impact on the dollar amount over a long haul than it is just burning stuff down.
I agree with you. I think that is a better effective means of change. I think one of the issues though is how, or one of the questions I guess to say is how do we get everyone to stand together in the change? Because it was like it's been countless like boycotts or don't buy from this person or go here and don't do that, but I still see people doing it. And so how do we all do it in unity and all stand together on one on one square or whatever? That I think that's more of the question.
I mean, it's going to be hard to, get everyone united, but I feel like it starts one person at a time. Starts with you. You tell a friend, your friend tells a friend. Um, I don't know though. It's going to be difficult to actually get that going. I know they did have. I had seen something on social media not too long ago, and I think it was a little bit after the whole protesting, but they had said that we should start. Well, they had set a select day. It was like June 19th or something on Juneteenth, and they said that we're not going to buy anything, from white-owned businesses. If we're going to spend our money, spend it effectively. I don't think it ever went through though. We never did it. Um, but I do remember there was something like that. So I mean, I guess that's a step in the right direction.
And I feel like most of the time it's kind of too large of a scale. As of right now, we everybody's gonna have a different opinion. Because it's not something like we're not enslaved at this moment, or like in during the Montgomery bus boycotts. That was just Montgomery bus boycotts. Does that make sense? I feel like a lot of the time, everybody wants to do a national, like nobody buy or gas this day or whatever, and that's not going to work nationally because at this point everybody isn't united. So I think if you start within a community, the city of San Francisco for months. People go around giving out flyers and putting it on social media, telling everybody on this day we will not spend our money at this Target because they do X, Y, and Z. They're gonna feel that because in this community, nobody has gone to their business and they're losing money in that business, and then maybe a change will be made. But I feel like most of the time it's this national scale, and if one person in this city decides, okay, I'm not gonna go get gas this day, and then two people in another city decide the same thing, I'm not gonna go get gas this day because they saw it on social media, it's not gonna have the same effect. So I feel like a lot of the time we need to be in, start as a community first, and make changes that way.
I think the power's in the young people. Y'all have all these challenges out here on TikTok. Everybody got the what is it, the crate walk and all that. How do we create a challenge for all of the people? Because that's what I want to see. I'm like, we got all these challenges to do all of this dead man drop and all these crazy challenges on TikTok and all of this stuff, and people are doing like 15 million people are trying this challenge. How do we get challenge people to hold our elected officials by their coattails, right? And I think it's a lot of mobilization that needs to happen, and it's all also about being creative and organized. And I think we haven't organized as effective than back in the days because the circumstances were different. When you had civil rights protests, there was hundreds and thousands of people who were out of work together. So they had no choice but to show up. But now it's a little different. You got people who working, people are got different agendas. But I think you all as the young folks, that's where you guys, organize and understanding like, how do we rotate this for 24-hour protests, right? Maybe the young people, when they out of school, they hold a post. Maybe the elders, when they get out of work, they hold a post. Like, how do we make it where all around when these businesses or we different politicians and different things impact our community, we stand up and we have multiple amounts of people show up. And I mean, and that's just what needs to happen. So how do you guys create that challenge? How do you create that social awareness that make people connect and want to be a part of the movement?
I also think really quickly. I'm sorry. I think that me and Nia don't have the same influence as Beyonce and Jay-Z. I feel like most of the time when challenges happen and it's something that's big and worldwide, it's because some celebrity challenges another celebrity, and then these people that have these big platforms and have influence, the people that they're influenced by or that are influenced by them do what they're doing, because it's shown on a large scale. So I feel like most of the time, if a challenge is made with regular everyday people that have 9 to 5 jobs that are really just working to do right in their community, it's not going to have, well, it should, don't get me wrong, it should have the same effect. But a lot of the time, to get it put on a larger scale, it's like celebrity help is definitely needed.
I agree with you, but I also think that the young people, I mean, a lot of these celebrities are watching y'all, right? It starts off with the young people that are doing these challenges and they pick up and take it and it takes off. But I think we have to eliminate that because I hear this all the time that we don't have the influence, we don't have the capabilities. I think we do. I think it's just about messaging and how we organize. But yes, it's easier for a celebrity who has 50 million followers to do it. But I think we have just as much power because when we say that, I think we take the steam out of our communities because I think it starts in our smaller communities and then we elevate to the larger community. So whether it's where you all are in Louisiana or you do it in San Francisco, right? It starts off with when people see masses of people coming together, I think it'll take effect and people follow throughout this country. So a lot of it is y'all have the power. And I think the youth, and this is why these conversations are so important, you all have the influence and the power. It's just you all have to believe that you can make the change. Because I hear some young people like, oh, well, I'm not 18 and I can't make change. And I'm like, hey, you know how many young people that was under the age of 18 over the last 20 years made impact in our communities? Yeah, you don't always hear about it, but you can do it. And I think the real power in this conversation is you all equipping yourself to empower yourself to make change, right? It can start in your school. Like if something's going wrong at your school, Brandy, you could like get a bunch of your kids. It can start off with 5 of y'all, 10 of y'all, right? And y'all like, look, we're not going to accept this. We're not going to do this. And y'all start y'all own, stage out, right? Or y'all own boycott. Now, if 15 people see y'all and they think, you know what, they right. They shouldn't be doing this, right? You got 50 people. Now you got a whole school. Now the next school is doing it. You get what I'm saying? So I think it is a little bit more power than what we think. But yes, it is definitely easier to have a Beyonce or Rihanna or one of these top 10 people that has, major following. But again, how do we create that? With the access to technology and to the access to social media, how do we create that where we move forward with the community folks? Because definitely the stuff that we protest and march for is just not working. So I'm really proud of y'all for coming up with this conversation because we all always are looking for new ideals to hold our elected officials accountable, how to hold things that's going on in the community accountable. When these incidents happen, how do we hold the police, other folks accountable, and it's sufficient and it's sustainable?
Well, I think so. I'm speaking for young folks, people around my age. I think a lot of the time they don't take things serious, which is kind of sad because we have a lot of impact, especially with social media. But like I've seen things happen, like that started from social media or started from somebody, like somebody who doesn't have a big impact at all. They have made an impact, and that just came from like TikTok or something. So I feel like we just gotta put our brains together and come up with something. But at the same time, people or kids, they find it boring if they don't it's not a dance or if it's not a TikTok dance or something, they find it boring and they're not going to want to participate. So I just feel like we should just take things a little more serious.
I agree. That's what That's what I was going to add on to, or say my point when I was going to speak, was that it's hard to find the youth. Maybe not hard. Maybe I just don't know too many. But I feel like our generation, we don't. It's hard to find youth who are willing to put in the work to do the things necessary to make change. Because like even today with this conversation, you see it's only both sides of the conversation on the screen. Like a lot of people didn't want to join on this topic because it's like I don't want to have to think about that and talk about that. And it's just, it's not exactly what Nia said. Like, it's not fun. So TikTok is like a more of a fun app where, like the crate challenges. Oh, that sounds fun. And putting in work to create social change is not, walking on crates and falling and laughing about it. It's more of a serious topic. So I think that it's kind of also changing our mindsets towards creating change for ourselves, because it is important. And then once we create our change our mindset, we'll be able to put our heads together and create effective change.
But it definitely is a mind shift change. And Nia, you got to call the maintenance people to get your alarm. I'm worried we might have a fire. Your alarm might not work. Okay, but Devin, but one of the things that I think that's important that you say that. But the other thing is, you know, we're only going to become more reactive, right? Because young people are not engaged because they feel like it doesn't impact them, right? But as we start going into future times, the more and more these things start to impact them, then they're going to get involved. And then it's kind of like we're on the 8 ball, right? So like right now in this country, it's all these layoffs that are happening in our country and tech industry, right? So some of these teenage kids, their parents been working for tech companies, life's been great. Now their lives are going to change because mom and dad don't have money no more, right? Things are starting to become tight. So now it's like a different reality. And I think sometimes, in our community, it's the same thing, right? Everybody's reactive. Nobody wants to do anything. Nobody wants to get involved until something happened. Somebody get shot by the police. Somebody get killed. Somebody get raped. Something happened. Then everybody's like, oh, they want to get involved. So really it's about how do we engage people to get them prepared of what's coming on, right? And I think that's where the access to information and to also let people know, like, this is what's happening, right? Because I think also in our community, there's a lot of crimes and a lot of things that are happening, and a lot of information that our police departments and elected officials have that know is coming down the line, and the community doesn't get that information, right? And then we're kind of like on the back end trying to fight our way out. And this is why I always attack the youth about staying engaged, right? And there's organizations across this country that are trying to keep our young people civically involved. And this is why our political realm is changing so fast. The young people in the Republican Party, they are educating their youth, they're getting them ready, and not so much in our communities. But it was a great thing at our bowling event to see all of you engaging with the community, because there was like Nia and Devin, and there was a lot of young kids that I heard walking by. That's like, oh, one day I want to work for them. You see what I'm saying? So those little things are like victories that sometimes we just don't pay attention. And that's why you all leadership, taking a step, taking a risk, being vulnerable to come out in community and give back, it does impact other people's lives. Because I did hear a lot of young people, like, they seen what y'all was doing. They was like, oh, I want to do that one day, right? And that started that kind of that influence thing. You know what I mean? You inspire somebody else. And this is why I always say these conversations are important. Yeah, some people they're boring. Now, if we was talking about drama on here, relationships and cuffing season, we have all kind of people, want to come in here and talk about drama, right? But we have to start equipping our community with these conversations. We have some conversation that's going to be coming up in the future when we talk about policing in our community with our youth. Like, these are some conversations that we need to have. I'm definitely going to be working with Chief Scott, trying to get some of the officers to come on and talk with our youth, because again, you guys' experience as youth with police is totally different than some of the elders in the community. And I'm always advocating for you. I was at this meeting and I'm like, all these people who complain about issues, they not outside. And this is what I always say. I need the people who are going to be most impacted by policies, by change, to be a part of the conversation. Because most elders, they get off of work at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, they going home. But our young people, after school program, playing park and rec, doing the things that y'all still maneuvering through the community. The young people that's out in the community 10, 11 o'clock at night, those are the people that's going to be impacted by the policy and what's going to take place. And I think you all need to sit at the table to have that conversation, because a lot of things that's changing is going to impact you all. And that's why I get frustrated with some of the elders, because they like, oh, well, this is not bad for me. I'm like, well, you're not the one that's going to be impacted. You go home and they go see you like you an old man, you an old lady. Let them go, leave them alone. But the police is going to hone in on you all as young people and harass you and different things of that nature. So those are the more important things out of it. But again, we're going to keep having the conversations. We're going to keep engaging with the community. And it's going to come around, because we are headed to some times. And you guys are on the front line of this because there's things that's going to start happening over the next 6 months, the next year, that's really going to start impacting our community and really start to have a trickle down effect on our young people as we start talking about education and things of what's going on in these school districts. Y'all gonna be the key point folks to have these conversations. So again, we just gotta keep encouraging people to be involved, because it is terrible when we have to be reactive and wait till something happen and impact them before we want to stand up and have change.
Agreed. You brought up a good point when you said that things don't impact us yet. That's why, for your generation, for instance, were there a lot of young social activists at the time? And I'm not sure, but I feel like, yeah, like things, people don't get involved until things do impact them. But to offer a solution, because I don't want to just talk about the problem all the time. To offer a solution, I think that we could, because I think that a good Black news station, because personally, my grandma and my great grandma are always telling me to watch the news, and I hate to watch the news because it's always something negative on there. It's always like it's constantly just negativity, and I feel like the news kind of pumps fear. So that's why I'm glad we have this platform where you get the real, and um, you get it like from us. But my point was that I'm trying to make is that I think that a good news platform that's for us and by us and like effectively communicates to us would be a good solution to start creating awareness for youth and mid-range adults and all ages, I guess to say, but just something like that. Because I remember not growing up, but like a few years ago when TikTok first started coming out, and you have these people on TikTok who are explaining financial literacy and stocks, and they're going into the news like with Russia and even just little stuff like that, but they're doing it in a way to where Black and brown folks can really stay engaged on it. I think that's important because like I said, I don't like to watch the news. I think it's boring. I think it's negative all the time. So I think just a black network would be beneficial to us.
Well, Devin, y'all creating it here. This is the start. We creating it here, getting information out. That's why the news stories is so important. But also, I think something you brought up that's real powerful that y'all need to understand and the community to understand as well. These algorithms and how these social media works, is also going to disenfranchise our communities, right? Because what I'm noticing now on TikTok, like you said, when I first signed up, it was all this positive stuff, like great stuff Black folks were doing, different business entrepreneurs. And what I started noticing is all of this ratchet negative stuff started taking over the algorithms, right? Like you watch one video and then it started, right? So just think about AI, artificial intelligence, and what they're doing. So in the future, you still can segregate communication to communities, right? Because all of the Black logins, they could just start flooding your timeline with all of this crazy stuff, but then everybody else, they're advancing it with information. You get what I'm saying? Because the way the algorithms work, it works on what you click on. So you might be watching all of the financial literacy stuff, all this important Black stuff, and then you click on one thing ratchet, and then all of a sudden it start taking your algorithm the other way. Now you missing out on all of that stuff. So I think that's another conversation with our youth. Like, how do we keep artificial intelligence and how do we keep these algorithms in a sense where they're really not impacting your access to information? Because I really see a trend of how they can use social media and really impact our Black and brown youth and community when it comes to information and messaging. It's terrible. I see it. It's just like, what? Like I used to get all this stuff, and then I was like, it's all this other stuff because I clicked on a couple things. But again, how do we be the innovators of the future when we talk about change? How do we create that? How do we intentionally be the next mover? How do we create our own Twitter? How do you young people come together? And this is why it's so important for you all with different backgrounds to connect, because y'all truly are the future. And like you asked me, Devin, I'm only 43, but we didn't have all of this. Like we did want to speak up and say stuff, but every time the elders was like, y'all, we don't want to hear from y'all. We didn't really get to do it at my level, right? But there was some other children who was doing some stuff, but it just wasn't at our level. And I think this is why the youth conversation is so important and for our community to engage with y'all, because we need people in the community to pick y'all mind and really think about what can happen and how do we develop and put it forward.
I really think that the difference between what we have right now and what we need is the positivity level. Right now, we have outlets like the Shade Room that's Black, and Baller Alert and Bay Area Alert and all that. Like, we have stuff like that. They're just not positive. And don't get me wrong. Sometimes they are, but most of the time, the stuff that people really are talking about is negative things. And then they post things to purposely get a reaction out of people. So to purposely stir up drama and negativity in our community. And I think that it creates headlines and it creates buzz, and then people go to their Instagram or social media sites, and then it creates more for them. So I feel like the change starts with us, and creating positive headlines and positive Instagram accounts and positive news feeds and stuff like that, to where it's cool to repost, the positive rather than the negative, because right now the black programs that we have that are popular on like Instagram and Twitter and everything. Black Twitter is normally, a lot of the time, it's positive, but sometimes it's not so positive. And you can see that, and it affects everything else on the timeline too. Going back to what John said about the algorithm, a lot of the time when you interact with something that's negative on like Black Twitter or Instagram, TikTok, you keep seeing negative stuff. And it could be funny, or it could be something that you're interested in or whatever, but it's still negative at the end of the day. And it's not creating positivity within our community, and it's giving them more buzz to, if somebody reposts something that's a follower of mine, it's going to come on my timeline. And so you're sharing out the negativity to other people.
So Kendall, you got to tell me about this Black Twitter. I've been hearing about it all my life. I don't know how to access Black Twitter, so I don't know. I haven't been on Twitter, so I got to find out where Black Twitter is, because I hear all this stuff about Black Twitter, and I guess I'm missing that part. I'm not on Black Twitter.
Black Twitter is not necessarily a platform. It's more of a place on Twitter. Like, you can kind of, you'll when you get on it, you get on it. You can't type in the hashtag Black Twitter, because it's not that. Is not that. It's like when, say, during the BET Awards, every year during the BET Awards, it's like all the Black people are sitting up. Maybe not right now, because not everybody watches the BET Awards no more. But like 2005, 2006, when everybody was sitting up watching the BET Awards every single year, all that was on Black Twitter. Everybody was sitting up tweeting what was going on the BET Awards or whatever, and talking about Sierra's dress and whatever. That's when Black people come together in solidarity to talk about something or laugh about something or kiki or whatever. That's Black Twitter. It's actually a blast. Me personally, I love it.
Oh, okay, all right. See, y'all gotta help the old man out. I be hearing all these stuff. What are they talking about? I don't know. I'm still trying to find out about the black net. I don't know. They talking about the dark net. I don't even know about the dark net.
Nah, there actually is an app, like literally like Black Twitter, that's made by a Black person. But what Kendall was talking about is the truth though. No one really uses, or his app isn't as popular. But I had it like a few years ago, and so there actually is a Black Twitter. Just to put that out there. But to move the conversation along, I wanted to ask: do you guys think if people understanding other cultures will help further social movements? Like, do you think if other races and other ethnicities and nationalities, if they understood the Black culture, would they be able to work with us better and create better effective change, and vice versa? Like, if we understood their cultures and how they move and things they do, would that be more effective, or would that just create more confusion?
So I remember, okay, I forget what event it was that I was at. It was at a both sides event. I just forget what event it was, but it was my first event. And this man came up to me. He was Mexican, I believe. He was like, "So, like, what are you guys doing? Like, what are you guys like? What is this?" So I told him pretty much. He's like, "Does it include, people like me too?" And I was like, "Yes, it's for Black and brown communities." And he was like, "Yeah, see, we need something. We need something for us too." Like, he was like, "Black Lives Matter, but we need something for us too." And I was like, "Yeah, we're here for everybody. It's for Black and brown communities." So that kind of hit me, because I was like, huh, like, if we just all, understood each other a little bit better, we could really unite. And that's what we are missing. And, that's why I'm happy we have this little platform, because for people like that, people like him, he just, he wants to be heard. And like, it just, it made my heart like, I don't know, it just made me feel type of way. I was like, man, that's so crazy, because if we just, really dug deeper into, us and other cultures as well, we could have a louder voice than we already do.
With that saying about the cultural part, I believe with the Stop Asian Hate movement, there was a lot of other cultures that were getting a part of that movement, and I believe that it became so large. Black people were putting it in their bios on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok, and I believe that once we all began to, contribute to all of the Asian hate that was beginning in San Francisco and in the Bay Area, it became extremely large. Same with the black, the movement I'm talking about, the George Floyd movement. I believe that once we all begin to understand like where it originated from and the issues that once we understand the issues and once we all become collectively unified, that's when it becomes a bigger movement, and that's when people understand like this is something that we all need to join. Basically, I believe that it starts with an entire culture, and I believe that once everyone gets a part of that, that's when it becomes such a that's when I believe that bigger, I cannot think of the word right now. That's when I think that the police and the mayors and the presidents, people start understanding that this is an actual issue that we do need to come down to and need to actually understand. So I do understand where Devin is coming from, where cultures do definitely make a huge impact.
I also agree, because I remember during the Black Lives Matter movement, and the like counter movement, which was All Lives Matter. I feel like if people had really like sat down and we discussed like what the movements were about, and like we tried to make other people understand, then that would have never happened, because the All Lives Matter movement was literally just them being like taking it to face value instead of what the movement actually represented. So in that sense, like I agree. I think different cultures definitely need to be engaged in other cultures, social movements, and like protest and stuff, just so that we all understand that we're all human and we all struggle and we're like all the same.
And then I think that when other cultures are involved in different movements, I think it starts with an informative conversation. I feel like most of the time people, have the right heart and they want to help, but then they don't, they're not listening. So like back to the looting, you have people, black people was out there looting and taking stuff, but some people was doing it for the right reasons. Some people, a lot of younger white people, going in these black businesses and tearing stuff down and looting and robbing and doing it, just destroying things, and they're saying it's in the name of Black Lives Matter, but the informative piece is missing. Like they don't really know, this is a black business, don't touch this. um, Small stuff, even down to verbiage and the way that you speak about certain things. There's something that somebody could say that's offensive. They don't know it's offensive because they haven't really done the research and gotten the information. So I feel like once you're mixing into somebody else's culture, you have to make sure that you're listening and you do the research. You can't expect somebody to like teach you everything you need to know. Google is free, so I feel like if you really want to know, yes, talk to people that you can talk to black and brown individuals, but if that person doesn't want to be your professor, they don't have to be. You go on Google and research it. If you really want to know, you can. There's stuff available. So I think that's kind of when cultures mix, it can either be really 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 powerful and something that changes the world, or if it's done in the wrong way, it could not go that way.
I think that's important that you said that, Kendall, because and I'm agreeing with you, and that's why I go on these meetings and these folks. Sometimes these other folks, other black outside of black folks, they want to ask all this stuff about black people, and I'm like, if you really want to know, it's there. Now, when I was going to school, we didn't have access to information like y'all got access. I had to go to the library, pull up, index and all this different stuff to get the information. Now you got it at a click of your fingertips. So I agree with you. That's why I don't go and explain all this stuff. I'm not sitting here trying to have conversations with folks who try to play like, what's this all about? Because at the end of the day, it's too much information out there for you to know if you really want to know, right? And I think sometimes people just want to argue and have a complaint. But here's where y'all can help me at. I hear y'all. I'm all for this solidarity movement with all of the communities. But what I'm not for is how Black folks never get appointed or uplifted like when we support other people, right? Because my thing is when police are killing Black folks, where's these other people at that's supporting this? George Floyd, worldwide, people came together. That was a horrific murder that took place on the team. It was in a pandemic. The timing was just unbelievable, right? So you had to have that response because at the end of the day, you're a human being. You see something like this. If the pandemic slowed everybody down to watch this, you wasn't human if you didn't feel some kind of way. He's like, it didn't take a rocket scientist to see this. But things that's happening in our community every day, where are these people at? And this is why I get frustrated with this solidarity stuff, right? Because I'm like, people also use these solidarity campaigns and these issues to like try to hijack Black folks. You know what I'm saying? Because we show up for everybody. But what happens when Lil Pookie gets shot? What happens when the police is doing something in our community? Where's these people at? They never show up. But, even with the Asian hate, Black folks was all over the place. But we have very people in our community, things happen. Where was they at? So again, I'm all for like learning other people's cultures and all of this. But what ends up happening is our culture get hijacked because people come here, they learn about us, and we listen to them, and they don't want to hear it. They just get off on their thing. They trying to spin off and make their thing go, and we get left standing there like we helped everybody, right? It's just like reparations right now. I'll make it more clear for y'all, okay? We're talking about reparations in this country, all over this country. Where's all of these other folks at? Okay, we just signed $50 billion. The president signed in Ukraine. Nobody said a word. Now we talk about reparations. Everybody got a problem with Black folks getting some money. Oh, they worried about how we gonna spend the money, what we gonna do. But where's all these other communities at? Where they like, no, this harm being caused to Black folks. Don't tell me these folks, this Black History Month that we are in, they're not being educated by the harm that's been caused by the people of this country. So where are they at? So when we talk about reparations right now, Asian, Latino, Filipino, all of these folks should be on the front line saying, yes, y'all have to repair the harm that's been caused to Black folks. But you know what ends up happening? They don't show up to support us. They come and say, we need our reparations. We need our help. You see what I'm saying? And this is what invokes the anger in me. Because when every other community needs some support or help, Black folks is quick to go support them. And this is why I'm saying solidarity has to start within us first. We have to take care of each other first before we can help everybody else. Because now the reparations conversation is talking, and you don't hear nothing. I don't hear nobody saying, no, yeah, Black folks should get $5 million. Yeah, Black folks should get. I don't hear that. But these folks in Ukraine, everybody's like, oh, these poor people, they need help, right? I had a boss yesterday tell me, we got to hire all these people from Ukraine. I'm saying, wait. I understand what's going on, but what about my Black folks in the community that's been trying to get a job? Y'all didn't have the same energy to bring them aboard. So again, we have to be careful. And I just wanted to ask y'all as young people, how do y'all feel about that? Because that starts something with me. It burns inside of me. And this platform is for all people. I tell people all races are welcome to come to both sides of the conversation. But again, we will highlight our Black people because I go to these meetings and Black folks on the bottom of the list on everything. So how can I not support the people that's at the bottom? I'm okay with everybody coming aboard, but I got to highlight my people first. I'm going to make sure that Black voices are lifted. I'm going to make sure that Black folks' experience is great. I'm going to make sure that Black joy is happening for my people because I know we hurting. I support everybody. Any person, any race, any ethnicity, they can come here. Any gender, you could come to both sides of the conversation. But I will highlight my people first. I will always call out the Black and brown community first because we are the most impacted and we are the most community when it comes to disparities and issues. We are the ones impacted the most. So again, my question to y'all is, what do we do when we're in solidarity with everybody else and everybody forgets about us? Because right now, these reparation talks is real. And there's a lot of people, believe me, across this country that are not in favor of black folks getting reparations. And we created everything that's taking place in this country. March 14th is coming up. We need black folks to show up and let your voice be heard, because the other people, they're not coming there to say, yeah, let's give black folks money. They saying, no, we don't want to give them nothing. So again, young people, what does that solidarity looks like to you? How do we learn other people's cultures if we don't learn our own cultures? How do we hold the other cultures accountable when they don't support us? Because that's the real question. When do we send out a letter to the Asian community, to the Latin community, to the Indian community and say, hey, we need y'all to show up for our black reparations? Because that's what I want to see. Where are they at? I want to see the Asian community. I want to see the Indian community. I want to see all of the communities show up and say, no, y'all owe these black folks, pay these black folks. Where they at? I want to know. Y'all community that's watching, let me know. I'll send a letter. Where are they at? If they're not on the steps on March 14th at City Hall to advocate for black folks to get reparations, I have to question what is solidarity. Because to me, solidarity is coming together on all issues that impact all communities 365 days a year. So on March 14th, my Indian community, my Asian community, I want to see y'all at City Hall saying, yes, make sure these black folks get their reparations.
I personally feel like when you're different cultures and groups of people, what they're doing, although it matters, I'm not gonna change my character for somebody else, like because of what somebody else is doing. So if I'm fighting for my community and I'm fighting for somebody else's community and another community and human rights in general, I'm not going to stop fighting for human rights because these other people are only fighting for themselves. I think that it kind of goes into moral compasses and like what you feel is morally correct. Because honestly, it's hard. It's easy to be like, look, I'm fighting for me and nobody else is fighting for me, so I'm just gonna keep fighting for me. It's easy to do that, and I don't blame nobody that does that. But I think if you're fighting for other people for the right reasons, then it shouldn't matter if they fight for you, because regardless, you're fighting for them because that's what you feel is right. So I think that it definitely depends on the situation and what's going on, but that was my take.
So Kendo, you fighting for breaks out there. When they get a young white girl to come in there and they don't have to fight for breaks and they get a break and you working, you like, where's my break at? But you advocate for everybody to get breaks, right? You get what I'm saying? You got to look at it on that level, because that's where we at with it.
I would raise hell, John. Let me tell you. I would raise hell around this place. I wouldn't lie to you. But I completely understand what you mean, because most of the time we're not equally treated. We're not. So I can understand, we do have to fight for ourselves a little harder than other people have to fight for themselves. Do not get me wrong. I was just saying more if I'm fighting for myself and I'm also signing petitions for Asian hate and stuff going on overseas, I'm not going to stop doing that because somebody that's from overseas is and reposting or whatever, helping my movement.
And
I
I
agree.
just want to say something. So um, so I understand what you're saying, but I think too is telling the story, because I know I was in a room full of white people, and I'm sitting here telling my story about what I and they said they once I finished telling my story and what I gave, they didn't know me from nothing. They just knew that I was, I'm brown, you know what I mean, and they heard my story. Once they understood and connected with it, I think it's having that conversation with people and having the patience, even though they might not be like, well, what is it? They want to act. And some people actually want to hear. Some people, they just want to make excuse. I get that. But they wrote me a check that was more than they ever gave in and certain, so there's people out there. I think sometimes it's changing our mindset, our mind frame as to who who's going to give to and who's not because they're a different color. So I think at the end of the day it's telling the stories, having that conversation, having patience with some of these people. And like Devin was saying about cultural, what that there is, people need to understand, but you have to have the conversation. You have to spend time with people and help them to understand where you coming from, because teamwork is teamwork. Ain't no black, brown, or white. This money is money. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, when you have a common theme in the room, and people you can actually, they can understand you and feel you. Now it's like, oh, we on the same team. I understand you. So let me go ahead and help you.
Well, I need y'all to help support me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create my own culture. All right, Devin, you got to help me with this. Okay, I'm going to create my own culture. All right, I'm not going to go with the African culture. I'm not going with the black culture. Devin, you got to help me. We'll create our own culture. We'll create our own bylaws. We're going to make people respect us in a different way. I'm figuring this out right now. This is going to be the most genius thing I've ever come up with. But I'm creating my
Let's
own
get
culture.
it.
I don't want to be associated with nobody. I'm going to create my own culture. All right. And people going to have to follow and respect it. I'm going to be telling people, you got to take your shoes off before you walk outside or something. I don't know, Devin. We're going to come up with something. We're going to create our own culture. Everybody's got to respect it. Okay. If they come into our sanctuary, okay, they got to respect our culture, because I just think, everybody does what they want to do the way they want to do it. And I think we're going to create our own culture, Devin. You got to help me. We got to figure this out. We're going to make our own move. We're not going to be affiliated with the African, the American, all this black. We're just going to create our own culture. I'm going to create the rules, because every other culture got their rules. We're going to create our own food. Everything has to have crystal hot sauce on it. We just going to make it. We going to make it. We going to make it fun, but we're going to make it our own culture. All right. We're going to be like, we'll do it, man. We're going to make something nice. But when we talk about some of the things that are working, I just want to talk to all of you real quick about some of the changes and the things that you all deal with at college, at Brandy, in high school. What do y'all think, y'all, from y'all perspective, how to get the community to get behind some of the changes that you all heard? I was talking to some students the other day, and the conditions at Howard, the conditions at some of these HBCUs that our students are dealing with when it comes to financial support, the living conditions sometimes is terrible. Like, some of our kids are in college, starving right now. I was talking to a lady, I was like, come on, I'm gonna send y'all some money. But how do we advocate and move our community to help support y'all in college to make sure that y'all experience? Because I think also college is a passed down trauma. I hear some of these parents talking like, hey, when I went to college, we only had cup noodles and this, and they want to make y'all go through this, right? But how do we change the mindset of these universities, these campuses, high school? How do we advocate better to get more support from community, give y'all the things that y'all need, from food, access, opportunities, and Brandy in high school, things of that nature? Because I think y'all do have a voice, and it's like, how do we create that movement? But I think, because in school, when you're in college, there's so many challenges that you guys have to deal with economically and to stay focused. But it's almost like we're passing down this generational trauma when it comes to our college kids. Talking to some of these college youth that I was talking to over the weekend. But I know the Dreamkeeper initiative. I know some of the stuff that they're doing in San Francisco. They're going to be working with a number of colleges and things of that nature. But what I think is going to be great, because our young people that's in college, they do need support. But to y'all, when we talk about what's working and social change, like, how do we advocate and change the things that you all need in school? Because I think school is a misunderstanding that a lot of our parents have, just even in being in high school and college, how dramatic things have changed and what kind of advocacy and support that you all need.
I think that starting off these, speaking for HBCUs and as a student at HBCU, um, I think that these institutions need to first have a willingness to change and to strive for better. For one, in most HBCUs in the country, if not all, have dorms that are not up to par. Like how at these PWIs, these dorms have, they have apartment style dorms that genuinely look like you're living in an apartment. You don't have mold and mildew, and people got to come fix your toilet 5 times a week. There's no like we have to want better, and right now it doesn't seem like campuses want to change the way the living situations are, because that's just how it's always been, and that's just something that people are dealing with. Even um, at Xavier, people get their like stuff is damaged, with water damage and mildew all over people's clothes, and they have to throw it away. And the campuses are responding like, well, you chose to live in our dormitories, and you chose to have this experience, and that's just the college experience. And so now it's nothing we can do about that. And I think that that's wrong. I think that there needs to be a willingness to do better and be better, and work harder. Just because at this point, I think that HBCU campuses are, me personally, I love my school. I love my HBCU, and I love that I'm around Black people all the time. However, PWIs don't have to deal with the same stuff that we have to deal with. They're not sitting in tents boycotting because they're breathing in mold and mildew and rat poop in their campuses. It's not the same thing, and that's a problem, because if these big name sports, athletes, big name athletes aren't coming to HBCUs, and they started now because of Deion Sanders, but they weren't coming to HBCUs because it wasn't competitive enough. And I think that if we better ourselves in the experiences and the things on campus, and make it better for the students, then people are going to want to choose HBCUs over PWIs, because realistically, HBCUs atmospheres they're unbeatable. The atmosphere is unbeatable. The amount of resources that you have, it's unbeatable. The amount of Black professors and Black successful Black people that come back and show you that it can be done, it's unbeatable, because these people look just like us, and they're successful. They've made it. They've done what they needed to do. But because of the things wrong on campus, it's hard to compete.
I also think schools should become more accessible because, like how you were saying, at predominantly white institutions, there's like apartment style, like dorms and stuff. I go to a predominantly white institution, and I had a Black friend who moved into their new renovated dorms. It was literally like an apartment, and I was so like shocked. I was so surprised to see such like accommodating housing when I had heard the news about kids and or students in Hart and Howard having to protest against their housing at Black institutions, which you have always been told like and told to go to them, and like that they're better than going to a white institution because it's just you'll succeed better, you'll make better friends and stuff like that. So I think in general, but these white institutions are so expensive that even if you wanted to go there and even if you wanted to diversify the um, the student population there, it's just so hard for anyone who is marginalized and discriminated against and faces prejudice to get into any of these colleges. And I just think that schools should be made more accessible so that all schools should be can be on the same like even standing so that we don't have to like rush and hurry to try to get into the predominantly white institutions or try to or have to protest to have good housing or good cafeteria food at HBCUs.
And then you have to think, even at HBCUs, with all that we deal with, it's still $40,000 a semester. $40,000. Like who? That's not doable for somebody that doesn't have a full ride or a scholarship, or somebody that lost their scholarship, or somebody that doesn't have support, or doesn't even know where you find a scholarship. That's not something that you just have laying in your pocket. So I feel like the accessibility is huge during in PWIs and at HBCUs, because at the end of the day, no, the average student, I'm 19 years old. I can't pay by myself $40,000 a semester for my education.
Yeah, I wanted to add on a broader scale. I think we need to just invest in back into ourselves, into the Black community. I was watching a documentary, and it says like the the Black dollar only bounces like not even one time in the Black community, and like versus other communities, they're bounced like 15 or 5. It's like 5 to 15 different times, and we see that with what you guys were just saying within our own institutions. Because I remember here at Xavier when I first got here, and it was during COVID. Jeff Bezos' wife donated $20 million to our institution. And I was like, okay, it's like we got $20 million. We the students should see that reinvestment somewhere. I don't know, like in the dorms and something, maybe a refund check, something. But honestly, you still haven't seen it. We're still waiting on that. So, and I think outside of colleges and stuff, we just, in general, we don't invest enough into ourselves, and that's part of the problem. But on a smaller scale, I think like what each individuals can do, they can tap in with, black, not black, but just college students in general, because it is tough, since sometimes that generational trauma is passed down. So I think, like your college students shouldn't have to always ask for something. Like sometimes you should check on them and see what they need, or even if they don't need anything, just throw them a little $20 anyway, because it's going to be beneficial in the long run. So I think on a smaller scale, just being more personable with college students can be helpful.
Brandy, what about you at your level?
With my school, there were a lot of protests that happened last year. There were a lot of students who felt like there were a lot of discrimination and differences between um, the genders. Between last year, we did have quite a few transgenders that went to my school, and they felt like that students shouldn't have been able to use the restroom that we were in, considering the fact that they're a transsexual. They felt that although that it was they were a transsexual, that they shouldn't have been allowed to use that restroom, considering that they were bisexual. So they made a protest about that, and then they also made a protest about the dress codes that we did have instilled within Western Ranch. We weren't allowed to wear anything that showed our shoulders. We weren't allowed to show anything considering anything below your hand level. You shouldn't have been allowed to wear anything that showed any belly. So they made a protest. They made lots of Google forms. They told the school officials. They went to the board. They went to the director. And so that was a large problem last year. And this year, you can see how much they've lined up on all the situations. This year, they don't have any kind of dress code anymore. This year, students are allowed to use whatever restroom they want to. If you're transgender, you have to respect their choices. And there are a lot of issues now, whereas they're closing our restrooms. So now we only have one restroom per gender open, which is, I feel like there should be, that should be spoken about. But I feel like in my school, we are taking the initiative towards trying to make a change. So I don't have a large issue with my school. But I do understand that the HBCUs, I hear a lot about that, considering that majority of my family goes to HBCUs. So it's hard to hear like Howard has a large problem with the housing, and it's hard to hear that Tuskegee and all of these schools don't have the same opportunities as PWIs do. So I listen to all of the economic, and I listen to all of the political issues still, although I'm not in college yet.
Well, we know you're on your way. You're gonna be a fighter. So, we just gotta keep pushing that. But I think, you all are the leaders to create that havoc, create that change. And I think consistency is everything. Being able to document, assess, criticize, and mobilize is the most important thing. As you all find issues, that's what it's all about: assessing, doing your homework and research on what's the issue and how it's impacted, and then really, criticizing people who has responsibility for it. Because a lot of times those folks don't get the criticism, and then mobilizing. You guys can do a phenomenal job of mobilizing that youth with social media. A lot of these institutions don't like bad press. Even at Xavier, if y'all put together a group of folks to really protest and look at the legal ramifications, mold and mildew and different things. There's certain laws that you just have to, you have to educate and expose them. And if y'all just take the pictures, get the information, find the local laws for in that town or that city y'all in when it comes to mold and mildew, what their responsibilities are, and y'all bring the charges to them. They got to fix it, Dev. You know what I mean? But that's something that y'all should be collectively working together. Somebody got to do the research, find out what the rules is, what the policies are, and start organizing. Because again, unhumane conditions is not satisfactory for anybody. So there is a level of accountability that has to take place, and it's unfortunate because a lot of these schools, they play the role that they broke, and they get a lot of money and donations, and they don't invest into the institution. And I think that's what is so terrible. But then it's like, how do we find these other institutions, private or otherwise, who are thriving with all kind of funding? How do we leverage them in policy or in a way where they have to commit so much to HBCUs or to African American students in their population? Because I mean, some of these schools, the amount of African American youth, like at some of these colleges here in the Bay Area, is not a lot. So it's like, okay, if you got 500,000 Black students, how come they can't get priority housing? You know what I mean? It's like they should be able to get housing out of everybody. You know what I mean? So it's just things like that we have to definitely, really figure out how do we impact that. And then it starts with, the social change part, right? Young people standing up. And this is why I say the generational pass down, because parents are just like, hey, we had to deal with this. But how do we change that and say, hey, this is not okay? And this is why I keep saying, when we talk about the village and the community and then to the adults, like, do we really love our young people like we say we do? Or are we happy they turning 18 and they off to college and we like, whatever, they got to figure it out? Because that solidarity, that intentionality behind organizing is still making sure that our young people don't have to go to that experience. And sometimes I think our elders fail us in the community because that's their punishment to young people. Oh, we had to go through this. They need to go through this. And I don't think that's the right mindset. I think we need to understand the obstacles and what came to us and make it better for you all. And I mean, I think that's what I always try to lead by, like figuring out what was a struggle, what was hard, and how to access and navigate for you all, because you are the future. So, it's a lot of work, and we just have to do it. But, when we talk about holding people accountable, figuring out strategies, there's a lot of work that need to go into that. And we got to figure it out. It's going to take a collective group of minds, you all young minds. But we have to make sure that, the impact and the results do benefit the people in the community, because too many times we don't get that. So we got to continue to fight there. I think boycotting on a financial basis is where we need to go structurally if we really want to incorporate change. I think financially we're going to have to hold back our dollars if we really want to see change, because I think that is the driving point of everything in the future. And like we said earlier, there's looting and things that's happening that it causes some effect, and it also causes another effect. So really, how do we pull all that together and make sure that it's strategic and it's implied in a way that really benefits everybody? But again, a lot of work to do. I don't know how far we're going to make change in the next 10 years if we don't really start coming together. I mean, you're looking at Devin, the world news you talked about, most Republican senators don't even want to put their hat in to run president. They won't, for Donald Trump, right? So people have their issues there. But my thing is, like, how do we as community stay engaged? Because what happens if we're not involved and things happen, everybody's upset. We just reactive. Everybody's upset. And then what? We back to the same thing. And it's unfortunate that this conversation happened this year and not a couple years ago, because these very conversations is the conversation that I talked about. And I could go back and pull the tape when Donald Trump was in office. And I was telling people, like, in a sense, it's kind of good that he's in office, because when he was president, it was the most organized. People across the world came together on issues, social issues, because they didn't want to deal with the hatred, the comments, right? And it offended people, and people got enraged and they wanted to engage. So again, it's the same old, same old. But I told people, I said, hey, once Donald Trump is off of office, everybody's gonna take their foot off the gas pedal. Look what happened. We full circle a few years later, and police are still killing black folks. All of the things that's impacting our communities have increased or doubled since he was in office. The amount of hate crimes and hate against other groups has increased, right? And where's the black folks marching at? Everybody's like, oh no, we got Joe Biden and this. We don't hear all of this stuff every day and we okay. So again, it's about making our communities uncomfortable. And sometimes you need a person like Donald Trump to keep the community engaged because it's uncomfortable. When you hear these type of things, like, no, where are we going? Right. And the pandemic caused people to slow down and pay attention. But now we're moving back to an open market. People are moving and we're less conscious of what's socially impacting us day to day because we're just, back to normal. Right. So, I don't know where we going. The political landscape is changing. Things are going to be happening. The young people, you are the voices of the future. And all I can say is it's going to be a nice ride here coming the next couple of years of making sure change happen. And I think it's all of you all civil duty to help educate, promote, and uplift the movement in our communities. I think there's a part of protest. I think there is a part of all of what we do to cause social change to move forward. I think there's no one shoe that fits the problems. I think we're going to have to collectively use a lot of methods to get our voices heard and uplifted. But we'll do our part here to continue to uplift the voices of the people, make sure that we are heard. We'll be advocating here locally, but across this country, we definitely going to have to do a little bit more work. Because what's going on with voting rights, what's going on with some of the civil stuff that are taking place is really setting our communities back. And we have to be intentional. We have to be stepping in front of the fight. But again, I know our black folks, we don't run from fights. We go step to them. But there's some fights coming. And we need all our black folks ready to engage on March 14th. I need all my black folks down at City Hall. Take off of work. 2 hours early ain't going to kill you. Get down to City Hall. And let's let our voices be heard about reparation and what's going on, because there's a fight coming our way and we got to be ready to step to it and not run from it. In solidarity, we could do it all. But all my other communities, I'm calling y'all. I need y'all to step up and support our community when our community is in need, because that's just what it is. It's going to take all of us. And I think all of our people out here is going to have to be involved with it. So we are getting close to the end here. I know the time has flown by. We are getting ready to check out of here today. I know a couple of our youth members had to get out of here and get back to work and some of the things that they're doing. But again, community, every second and fourth Sunday, our youth is here for great conversation. All of the elders in the community that has all of these great ideas of conversations that y'all would like to have with our youth, please send them to submit them to us so that we can have those conversations and bring our youth up here, because this is an opportunity for us to uplift the voices of our youth and put that power in their hands. And let's listen to them and see what they're thinking and how we can move together collectively. It takes a lot of us. It takes a lot of work to make this happen. But these youth are some phenomenal youth that are thinking. Their minds are moving, and they're looking at ways that they can impact communities. So very, very powerful stuff from the youth. And we're delighted to have this conversation with you all today. Before we start wrapping up, I want to give all of you that are here an opportunity to give some parting words to our future organizers, to our future people who need to be in solidarity, to take a few minutes and y'all give some love and something to give back to the community before we close out today, because I think it's always important to hear from you all and just take what we've talked about over this last hour and put it in some perspective for maybe somebody who just tuned in, or maybe somebody that's going to watch another day, especially our youth, how to get engaged and impact community. So now we'll start with you and just move it around and just give some parting words or any shout outs, anything. This is your time. Just give any shout outs, whatever you want to do. This is your time, but leave something for the people. We always want to make sure that the community walks away with something from all of us on the panel today.
So what I have to endorse, this is kind of personal because I know a lot of people who are into this, is the Black community in the Bayview, like specifically like Bayview's Maker's Kitchen and the new Lucky's on Bayview, which are like big like steps in the right direction for the Bayview, which is a really undeveloped neighborhood, which is where I live. And like Bayview Makers Kitchen is trying to uplift uh, black and brown small businesses, but specifically like food and catering and stuff like that. They have an Instagram. You should check it out. And they organize a lot of events and stuff that's like we did like the slow streets. There was the big festivals and all the slow streets. Baby's Maker's Kitchen was a part of that as well. And for Lucky's on Bayview, they're doing a new program where they're accepting food or just any produce from small black businesses to into their store, where like usually you can't get into a store unless it's a really big venture. Lucky's is like offering for small businesses to give them their products, and they'll put them on the shelf so that they get more publicity, and they're going to be posting them and sending newsletters out and stuff like that. So if anyone's interested, you should really get on that as well.
Wow, that's great. It is great to see the Luckies there again. Like you said, we still got more work to do. That's one store, versus how many stores we need in that area versus the per capita of people. Also healthy food like Trader Joe's. So again, the food desert, apartheid that still happen in the black community. We still got to address it and make sure that the cost of food is reasonable for the folks that the community is being served with. But yes, there are steps being made, and we're thankful for the community organizations and folks that are continuing to push equity forward and making sure that our voices are heard and our black dollars are being spent within our community. But with that being said, Miss Brandy, give some parting words to the community.
I didn't say a lot this episode, but there wasn't really a lot I had to say. I wanted to tell everyone to please get involved into what's going on around the world. It doesn't have to be specifically in your community, but please get engaged. I know that I'm extremely engaged. It's just that today was an extremely touchy subject, I could say. But please get engaged. Please continue to watch our shows because we greatly appreciate it. Please help us find San Francisco youth, that we need that extremely badly. But thank you for everyone watching this show. Thank you for listening to our conversation. And that's all I have to say.
Don't worry, we'll have a conversation about yiking and something. All the young people want to cut it out. We'll get it turned up. We'll get it turned up. All right, brother Devin, go ahead, Devin.
Jumping off what Brandy said, she's right. She's spot on with everything with her closing remarks. You can't run from the work, youth. So, it's coming. But I wanted to leave off with some social movements that you guys, that the community and our watchers and us can get more involved with. And that is the Black Lives Matter, School Strike for Climate, Indigenous Land Rights Movement, Girls' Rights to Education, the Me Too Movement, Marriage Equality, Women Rights to Drive in Saudi Arabia, and the Amnesty International. So check those out, do your research, tune in.
And y'all can get with the both sides of the conversation. We having a movement too. We're creating our new culture.
We got our movement coming.
We create our own culture. We're gonna make something phenomenal. We're gonna make something phenomenal. But our co-host today, I know she was doing a lot of processing because I know Jocelyn thinks a lot. She's a thinker. And this is a great conversation. We always want to engage with our youth, but this is their segment. But Jocelyn, do you want to give any feedback or anything to the community you want to lead them with today as we get ready to close things out today? And thank you for being here today.
Yes, yes, yes. So yes, this is something that is very, it's enlightening for me. So I was taking it all in, but I see that the challenges that we're having today as far as social change and with the youth, I agree, as far as with the youth are concerned, we definitely have to, encourage our youth. At the same time, we have to join with our youth as elders or the elders to help them and teach them and guide them on how to do it. How do we do this? Because, I can hear some of the discouragements, like there's not a lot of youth, they're all doing this, they're doing that, they're influenced by this, this and whatnot. So maybe we need to be responsible as for us and be like, hey, let's reach out to our local maybe media, people and black that are black and brown, background that are in our communities, that are in those positions, that are journalisms, your journalists or whatnot, or because most of our Black people are what in entertainment, athletes, actors. They have a responsibility too to pull these youth up and say, hey, I like your idea. I like the fact that you think that way. So let's go. What's your idea? Okay, come on. We gonna use my platform, our platform, the Black people platform. Because we have influence. It's all over. Like it's everywhere. We see it. We see our people, our Black people up there. But how come we can't talk about stuff like this? So it's gonna take us as well, us to reach those people. If not, if we can't write a letter, I mean, somebody, and when you think about it, there's people, we meet people in, walking down the street that are famous. Like, hey, have a conversation with them. It's about starting that conversation. And I think because we don't talk about it enough, and it can be intimidating too, because social change, what's that? You know what I'm saying? And people don't know. We don't educate. We don't have these classes. We don't talk about these things. So it makes y'all look, indifferent, right? But at the same time, it's really about helping our communities. But if we can make it fun, I mean, it's taking these little us right here coming together, getting a great idea and making that thing look bling and fun, because at the end of the day, once people see that, they're like, oh, it's not that bad. It's not, and start speaking and stuff. So, but at the end of the day, yes, I agree. It takes a whole community to make this stuff happen. It's not something we can just sit and watch and talk about. And like John said, we got to go show up. You might not even know what to do or what to say, or the fact that you show up is education for your brain, so you understand what it is. So even if you just be present, even just being there, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna open up your motivation, your mind. Now you want to go and do what you need to do. You're gonna be motivated when you come back. You have problems in the college and all that stuff that's going on at HBCUs. You gonna know how. Oh, that's how John do it. Oh, okay. Let me go do that too. I gotta go speak up. That's how he talks. So it takes leaders like John to be able to so y'all can see how that works. You know what I'm saying? So you can be that and you can see the reactions of people and you know how to navigate. So it's just being there. So you guys are here and that's awesome and amazing that you are even able to just, come in and speak those things. I'm like, dang, Devin he had a whole bunch of stuff ago. I said, wow, these are our youth. Amazing. And all of y'all that y'all had a whole bunch to say and I love it. And I'm inspired and I'm learning and I'm gravitating. I'm just like, wow, okay, let me let me get together. Let me see how I can help. Just hearing y'all is just like, how can I help? You know what I mean? So keep speaking, keep being loud, keep sharing your ideas because there's actually people that will listen. And now it's like, wow, I mean, I had a wow factor for me. So just keep doing it, y'all. Y'all doing an amazing job, and I'm there for you.
Well, you've heard from the young people. You've heard from Jocelyn. Before we leave, the bishop has to give a benediction. I have to give my benediction every show. Recap what took place. I know my energy is not there because I've been running community. I've been advocating. Y'all see me all over the place. I think I'm running out of energy. So the youth, they re-energize me. After this weekend, I'll be re-energized because I'll sleep and then I'll come back and speak. Sometimes in our life, we say step and stand. I'll continue to step and stand with you. Will you step and stand with me? But with that being said, before we go, I will give the benediction to the people before they say good night now. And I would like to start it off like this. These conversations, these very conversations today that you heard from our amazing youth is the conversations that we have to present in our community. If we want social change, if we want things to be different than the way we view it or we've seen it, it's going to take the youth to move us forward. The encouragement of the youth, the voices of the youth will uplift the people. Sometimes the energy, the motivation, it's too big and capital for the young people. But again, we have to entrust in our young people, pass the torch and let them lead. This is a marathon. It's not going to end right now. We got to continue to pass the torch, uplift and motivate each other. There's a lot of issues that we need to address that are impacting our community. And these conversations start with the youth. So elders in the community, tune in, tap in with the youth, uplift the youth. Because I know, and I've said it last week, I'm not so impressed with some of the elders of the community. They're not doing their part to support our youth. They are not doing their part to engage and uplift, support, and respect our youth. We have to do it. When we talk about solidarity, when we talk about change, it takes all of us. Elders, you got to do your part too. Listen to the young people. Don't just show up here for the relationship shows when it's drama and toxic conversation that y'all want to be a part of. Be a part of the youth as they are trying to inspire our community. Listen to the minds of the innovation of our young people as they are the future. They are developing what we're going to be enhancing and embracing over the next 20 to 30 years. They have the floor. And it's our job, and we will do our part here to uplift their voices, to make sure that they're heard. Give them the power. We don't want to empower our youth. We want to give them the power. Sometimes these conversations can be very triggering for some people. You heard about the young people talk about what they think about looting and protest. Sometimes the negative things is a positive thing, and sometimes the positive things are a negative thing. But together, each individual thing can have an impact that change the trajectory of the movement of the people, the times of the community. We can do this gracefully if we all stay in place. You heard from the young people, the experiences that they are experiencing in HBU colleges. Community, if that's not a concern for you. Elders, if that's not a concern for you. HBU leaders, if this is not a concern for you, we should not be passing down years of trauma to our young people. The living experience, the educational experience should be one of those that is very phenomenal for our young people. They should have the greatest experience while they're on this learning journey so that they can be the best entrepreneurs, the best innovators of the future. We have to compete, but we have to compete in a way that's going to make it, in the investment in our youth that's going to make it profitable for the future generations. We must do our part. Leaders of these institutions, you must reinvest in your structure, your infrastructure. You must invest in the youth. When we say invest in our youth, it's just not in the textbooks and the opportunities of what they're getting in the classroom. It starts with the food that they eat. It starts with the space that they live in. You cannot have a young mind focus on the school if everything else is not cool. School is supposed to be cool. Even at an HBU, they should be able to come into a space that they can rest their mind. They should come into a space where they can eat gracefully. They should be given the same opportunities as all of the other schools and entities. Sometimes greed is the problem. Sometimes we pay the chancellors too much money. Sometimes we invest too much in our faculty and staff, and we forget about the very young, bright minds that changes institutions. Again, there's a lot of work that we're going to have to do. We're going to continue this conversation. We will reach out to some of the chancellors and some of the vice chancellors, some of the administrative folks that work for these schools, and have a conversation with them, because they also need to be pulled to the fire. They need to be in the front of the community and explain their logistics. And I understand things cost money, but when it comes to our young people, where is our commitment to invest in their futures? And investing in their futures starts with the way they live, what they eat, and how they get prepared to come to school. So again, more work to be done. Community, more work to be done. But we're going to have those conversations. We're going to continue to do our part to impact our youth. Again, these conversations will continue. We are looking for our young folks. Come on, we're going to start a movement that's going to bring the young people and energize them, because they are the future community. March 14th, I want to see y'all at City Hall. The power of what we do here at both sides of the conversation. All of my Black and brown people, you should be at City Hall on the steps with the people, ready to advocate and make change and let the supervisors know. Reparations now. We want ours. We're not asking. We're not begging. We're coming to take what's owed from us. We're going to take our equity, and it starts with you. Make sure your verse is hard. Make sure you are a part of the history that's going to take place, because we will be there. We will pack the building with people, and we will let them know what is owed to us is due, and it is now. So with that being said, community, our next live show is this Tuesday, as we will have another Hidden Gem segment. We will be here to highlight our Black and brown businesses, community leaders, and folks that are doing positive things to impact our community. That's our next live. And then next Thursday, we'll have another educational Thursday. We are looking for more folks to come on here and give some of the sauce, the game, the wisdom to our community. If that is you, and you have a PowerPoint presentation that you would like to educate our community with, please reach out to us. We want to get you on here. We want to make sure that our community gets access to this information. We always hear the word access. They need the information so that they can be inspired and be moved to go and make change. So with that being said, thank you, youth, and all of our youth team that continues to develop this youth conversation. There are more conversations coming with our youth. I know it's cold out there, community. Be safe. There's some cold days coming in front of us, but we can push through and get through this. And as we start moving into the spring months and time gets later, we're going to have some fun. It's going to be some great conversation. We got some phenomenal people that's going to be coming on this platform to talk about things that we need to do. Don't let the sun and the hot days forget about the real impact and the real social work that needs to take place. It's going to take us all. Change doesn't happen unless we all stick together. When we talk about solidarity, 365 days a year, community, do your part. Show up, support somebody, and give back. And most importantly, when you see these young people on the streets, support them, have a conversation, find out what you could do to be a blessing to our young community. With that being said, thank you all for tuning in today. Shout out to all of the amazing folks, okay, that's out at the Black Joy Parade. Great event going on. Want to give a huge shout out to all of the Black Caucus, UCSF folks, put together a phenomenal gala, and to all of the amazing events that we've been a part of this month. Go to our YouTube, check out some of the videos and some of the photos of things that's been taking place. And again, shout out to our mayor, Shamon and Malia Cohen. The homecoming celebration at City Hall was phenomenal last week. Great times. Black folks, I know we ending this month strong, but we're going to make this all year long. Let's continue to uplift Black joy, Black excellence all year as we continue to uplift the work and the things that take place in our community. With that being said, we love y'all. We'll see y'all on Tuesday. Have a great evening. Bring those pets inside because it's cold. And we'll see y'all on Tuesday. Good evening, community.